everybody.
Hello.
Can you hear me good there, David, on this end?
Yes, sir. I
We all hear
can.
each other. Okay, good.
Okay, all right. I think all of us our mics are working good and we're good to go. So, um, we're here today with Miss Kitty Lynne. And I forgot where you're from, Kitty. I apologize. What state
That's
are you
okay.
in?
I'm from Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Okay.
Oklahoma.
And I'm in Kentucky, and David is in Texas. So we're from all ends of the U.S. here. And Kitty, I know we're really excited to have you on here. Like David had
Thank you.
asked me if I wanted to. I was I'm tickled to death to have her on. It sounds great to me because I don't think we've had anybody that has the gifts that he said you have on here before. To talk about it. Kitty, I know you're a healer, correct? Like an energy worker and a healer.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about? Because I've had a couple of people that I invited to the show that were asking me like questions about it, like what all you were able to do and things. I said, until I get to talk to her, I don't really even know the details of it. So can you tell us kind of what you are able to do?
Yeah, so I actually surprise myself all the time on the things that I can do. I am an intuitive healer. And I recently have really dove into the energy work and being able to just look at someone and kind of see the areas of trauma that they have. And if it's physical, a lot of times that's pertaining to trauma. I do have ability to do hands-on and then Reiki as well. But I guess I always say I'm just me. Like I can't say that I'm this or I'm that. I have mediumship skills and I do intuitive healing. I can sense when someone's hurting by just by feeling it and being around them or having their energy through, say, the camera, and kind of determine what I can do for them. I always say I'm a vessel for the universe just to do whatever the universe needs me to do. That's the easiest way to describe it because I have all kinds of strange things. I say strange that I do that are normal for me. And so it's about me seeing, I guess, without using my eyes.
Yeah. I think that's wonderful because I'm sure you're able to help so many people, being able to do that. And you hear of a lot of people that have, they can read, cards or read people's energy and stuff. But a lot of the people that are even able to do that have to connect them with somebody else to do the healing work. You know what I mean? So if you also are able to help them in that capacity, I think that's great. It's amazing. As far as you mentioned the Reiki and everything, did you do the Reiki master like training, or is that something that just naturally you're able to do? Or
so I did the training because everyone wants you to have the training, but I've always been that person that if someone comes up to me, I'll know their life story within 5 seconds. For whatever reason, I'm that person that I don't know why I just told you all of that, and I'm like, I understand, this is my normal, it's okay, and so I have had the training and I've done spiritual coaching certifications, and I have different certifications that I've gotten on my own. But honestly, all my work that I've done and a lot of my knowledge is all intuitive. It's not, I can't tell you that I've been doing it I'm 46, so I couldn't tell you I've been doing it for 46 years and I've had all this training. It's very intuitive driven. It's driven from whatever the universe wants me to do. And that's the truth.
right.
So,
right on.
Yeah.
I can respect that.
Yeah.
Well, and I get what you're saying too about you said you struggle as far as to what to call yourself, because I'm that way. I don't like labels necessarily about people or even about faith or spiritually, because I think people can believe a lot of different things and it be more of a eclectic type of belief system for some people. But and it is a journey. I think sometimes too. We've had people on or talk to people, and I've said, like, how long has this been? Have you been doing this or whatever? And people struggle to give you maybe an answer because it's like they're doing a little bit of it at this age and more at something different at another age, and it just kept building, I guess is what I'm saying. So, but when did you first know that you had like the gift of being able to read people, like the basic part of it? When did you first know that?
Oh, let's see. So I grew up Christian. Yet my mom always saw spirits in the sanctuary when we were at church. And so I grew up Christian and very much the belief system of Southern Baptist, right?
Okay.
And so it's very different than my beliefs now. I at a young age, I had imaginary friends that were very real to me, and I always have had the gift of dream work, and so I would see things before they would happen, or I'd call someone and say, hey, I had a dream of you. And it kind of progressed from as I was 5 and growing older to I wouldn't have a dream of them. It would be a vision or something like that I would have, but it was easier to explain by saying I had a dream of you. And so does that make sense? Because so many people are like,
oh yeah,
yeah, it does. And I think it's amazing to me how people are a lot of times more receptive or open to somebody saying, I had a dream of you, and they'll listen. But like if you come up and said, I heard this, or I had this vision, or I was meditating and I got this information, they just shut down. Don't even want to hear it. But like if you mention a dream, they're, I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is, but it is true. It is true. People are they accept it a lot more, and believe it a lot more. Even there's a lot more of, I feel like they give it more validity, you know.
I think so too.
It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And so I've always, that's what I've said. I had a dream of you. And now I'll say, hey, I had a dream, or, a daydream of you.
Yeah.
So I kind of progressed that way. And then I am the oldest of my siblings, and one of my brothers passed away from addiction. And so I was with him, and it was very, very tragic, and it always takes those tragedies to kind of jerk you into where you're actually supposed to be.
Right.
From the universe. It's like, okay, what are you going to do with this? Well, that's kind of where everything started, because you start looking for healing, and you start wanting to know, how does this work? I was taught that this is how it works, but that's not how it works, because he literally comes to me, right? And so that's not how it works. And so it just kind of built from there. After he passed away, it was important for me to, one, try and find my own healing of who I am, because we all have our own trauma that we go through growing up that builds us who we are. It's not our choice of who we become when we're young. We think that we've grown up and we have this choice of who we are, but you're bounded by what other people expect of you as a child and as you grow. And so when you realize, oh my gosh, there's so much more to life than this, and this is physical, right? This is physical. This is my meat suit, as I call it. But we're very much all spiritual beings, having a human experience. And there's no reason for us to be separate when tragedy and trauma and things like that happen. So,
yeah. And I hate that, you had to go through that. And I think every single person, though, nowadays has got somebody they're close to that suffers from addiction, or, and like you said, it's horrible. And I hate that you had to go through that. But David, you can jump in anytime. I feel like I'm
no, you're doing fine. No, you're doing great.
I have to tell right there, just jump in there. But
I think go ahead.
Very gifted. No, Kitty's very gifted.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I think too, we were talking about the dream thing, and how don't you think maybe that's because of like you were talking about, you grew up Baptist and everything, and I think a lot of the Christian denominations in particular, everybody dreams. Everybody sleeps, everybody dreams. That's okay, but the other things, you're not supposed to be doing that. Like there's kind of this, they frown on any kind of like meditation or trying to seek spiritual interaction or whatever. There, a lot of people do frown on that. Not everybody, but some. And so I wonder if that's not why there's a more openness to talking about dreams, because they feel like you're not doing something you're not supposed to be doing. Everybody dreams. What I mean?
I definitely think that it can be. Yeah.
I don't know. I just wondered if that was maybe part of that, as far as that goes. You said your mom saw spirits in the church? Is that what you're saying about your mom did? Did you see those same spirits, or did she talk
No,
to you about?
absolutely not. I was very against being anything like what my mom had, her gifts that she had. No, 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 not it. Right? Not it. And so my great grandmother would always say to my mom, "You're going to get it." And then my mom would always say, "You're going to get it." And I'd say, "Nope, no, nope,
Yeah.
not." And here I am.
Here we are.
So you didn't see the spirit she saw, but when you had the imaginary friends, did she ever see any of your imaginary friends? I was just curious, like if she saw them.
You know, we've not really had that discussion before. Actually, we haven't had that discussion on it. Now, it was so real for me to have these friends that my dad and her would take me to a hockey game, and I would say, "Hey, Dad, let her out of the back seat," and he would jokingly lock her in, the car, and I'd freak out because I wanted her to be able to come with me. I didn't want her to not be able to do what normal people do.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw her. I think the things that my mother and I talk about is when I was born, my great grandmother was alive. My great grandmother Jessie, then my great grandma, my great grandma, my grandma, and my mom, and there was me. And so there was a long line.
Wow.
And when I remember one time we were sitting in my mom's living room, and this was before my great grandma died, Jessie, and we were sitting there, and all of a sudden a picture flew up off of the fireplace and went flat right on the floor, and it was Grandma Jessie, and it was right before she passed away, or it could have been after. But so I remember things like that. My mom's house has a faceless woman that's there, and I've always been like, I'm out. I ain't staying there. I'm out. So,
is she scared of that? I mean, is your mom okay with it?
She's okay with it. She's been there. My brothers used to come out of the laundry room and say, "Hey, what's she doing in there?" So it was something that was talked about. Now, you ask my brothers nowadays, they'd be like, "Oh no, you guys are crazy. There was nothing like that." Very much there was. I'm the only one with the belief system that I have. Everyone else in my family is still practicing Christian. So I'm the oddball.
Well, and there are some Christians that are open to ghosts and things too, which at one point I didn't know as many people, but I have met, lots of people that, like I said, I think a lot of people now are more eclectic in like their beliefs than used to be. It used to be more like straight laced, it had to be like a certain thing. But yeah, I think if there was a faceless person, that would be pretty disturbing.
Yeah, she's a woman and she has long hair, but I think she's tied to the property. There's some things in that side of Tulsa that happened back in history that I think is tied to there. But there's never been any,
maybe
traumatic.
That's why your mom's okay with it. She's never done anything harmful, so she just kind of lets it go. Or
she just knows. Nope, she just knows that she's there, and we've always just done that. So it's interesting. It's definitely an interesting dynamic on it. So.
And you're talking about the picture thing. One thing that's really interesting about that is, that's a common belief here in Kentucky, like in my area where I grew up and everything, is that if you have a family member and their picture falls off the wall, that they're going to die within the next little bit. It's not just, it's like a common, well-known superstition.
That's interesting. I've not heard of that. Yeah,
but it is. It's a common superstition here because people freak out. Like my grandma, I remember one time some of the family's picture fell, but they didn't die. But like she freaked out. For like a whole week, she was like tore all pieces. And I'm like, well, if it happens, you can't really do anything with it. But yeah, I didn't know if you knew that was a actual like superstition.
I didn't.
Yeah. So I do believe too that a lot of the superstitions, there's some grounds of belief. Of truth to things that starts it. Which that kind of leads me to the next thing I was wanting to ask you, is I was thinking a lot of people with these gifts too do practice like forms of magic or what we consider magic work and things. Do you do anything like that? Are you even comfortable talking about that, or is that a no for you?
Or? Oh, I can talk about. I'm pretty open. I'm pretty open.
But, if we do ask, if we and David you want to ask anything that you're not comfortable with, we completely respect that. Just tell us and we'll move on to something else.
I'm completely open on all of those things. So I would say that if I was to tell you what magic I would do, if that's, what you want to call it, or the energy work. I do a lot of manifesting. That's what I love to teach. I love to teach people that you can use energy. You can transmute energy. Just because you're in a bad mood or you're sad, it doesn't mean that energy has to stay that way, because energy is everything, right? Everything's energy. And so you can utilize it for so many different things. So I do a lot of candle magic. I do rituals like full moon and things of that nature. But I tell everyone, and this may be where I'm different than a lot of practitioners, is I tell everyone crystals, wands, music, bowls, capes, whatever you want to do. It's all beautiful Post-it notes to keep you on track, right? You're the magic. You don't have to have these things. It can increase your energy and it can help you balance your energy and do all these things, but they're not necessary. They're just a beautiful part that can keep you on track. So if I have a crystal and I know it has high energy, then I can use that, right, to raise my energy. I don't have to have it, but it can help me significantly because I believe that this is going to help me. So a lot of the things I do, the candles, the manifesting is a huge thing for me. I'll create sigils. I'm a sigil person. I love to create sigils, and I will put that on candles and salt, use herbs that have that correspondence, and then do and say mantras and things of that nature according to whatever magic I'm going to be using.
Okay.
Do you have any of your crystals with you off on hand right there?
I do have some. I have some. I can show you a couple of them if you want me to.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. I tend to get things that aren't what I say normal, right? I'm not normal. So I always grab a couple of things like that. This right here is Inner Mongolian quartz. And so you can't really see too well, but it's clear in the middle. And so I use this on full moons and for manifesting because it is clear in the middle and you can, see. So I use that. I use a lot of honey with manifesting because everything sticks to honey. So I use this. You can't see it too much, but this is honey calcite. So I use honey calcite. I use golden healer. It's one of my pieces of golden healer.
It's pretty. They're all pretty.
Thank you. One of my new favorites is the fluorite and the pyrite together. This is rainbow fluorites. It has glitter and all that in it. And so the majority of the things that I have are going to all have to do with raising vibration, certain specific reasons. I do have protection things that I do, but for me, everything is about raising vibration because if you don't have a high vibration, you can protect all you want, right? And your bubble that you have is going to look like Swiss cheese. It's going to have holes in it. So the higher you raise your vibration, in my opinion, is going to be the tighter your bubble of protection is. So,
right.
If I may, what was the little charm that you could put on a necklace or a bracelet that was blue and gray? I think it was.
I have it actually right here. Let's see. So
I think it was a square or rectangle. Oh yeah. I like that.
So this stone was one of my first very, very favorites. So this is lapis lazuli, and lapis lazuli is a metamorphic stone. So it's 3 crystals in one. I love to teach history when I'm teaching crystals because that helps people remember. And so for me, this is the goddess stone. The ancient Egyptians used it. Cleopatra used it to bring in her goddess power to be able to speak her truth and stand her truth. So it works on your throat chakra. And she also ground it up to make her eyeliner and things like that. So,
yes.
See, I love
that's the reason why I was drawn to it. As you can see behind me, I'm real drawn to Egyptian culture.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Yes. We could have a whole full conversation. I love ancient Egypt. There's something so special about it. And that's where a lot of my deep diving into herbs and crystals and things like that was in ancient Egypt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you were saying that you use a lot of honey stuff, Did you know if you have I don't want to say a deep laceration where you got to get stitches, but a little bit more than a scratch,
Mhm.
In emergency, you can put pure honey onto it
It'll.
momentary or whatever, and it will never get infected.
I did not know that. I
Yeah.
didn't, but honey is just something that anyone who's done manifesting, they're like, you keep that away from me. Like, I'm not even trying, because I tell people when you manifest, you have to be open. Things are going to start changing. Stuff's going to happen. And they're like, keep it away. No. Like, we're good. We're good. Like,
You'd be surprised.
yeah.
Yeah. I know honey, a lot of people that I know use honey that too, it's because it's sweet and it brings good things usually. And that's another reason that I know it's, I've been told that's another reason a lot of people prefer it with like manifesting and things, is that it's the sticky component and then also just the sweetness and the goodness and the nature and, you know, just everything about it.
Yeah. They'll do, sweeten jars and things like that. When I do it, so there's two. If I was going to say I do ceremonies, it would be a cord cutting with yourself, your prior self ceremony. And then I do the honey manifesting. So I teach to get a bowl, and you can use crystals that are safe in water. You can use the herbs, and you can create this honey. And as you stir in each ingredient, you do your mantra of what you're trying to manifest. And then every day you can either put it on your lips, put it in your bath, put it on your face, put it in your mouth, whatever you want to do. But it forces you to stop and then put this honey that you're putting all your energy into with your intention, and it becomes part of your cellular structure. You're taking this in. So it makes you stop every single day to give yourself a moment of, oh yeah, this is what I'm doing. And then it just becomes part of you. So it's very, manifesting is something very special to me. I love to do it and help others do it.
It'd be great to do before you ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And
grounding is necessary.
Yeah, grounding is definitely necessary. Do you have certain stones you use for grounding that you prefer? I know a lot of people have certain ones they like for that too.
I do. I like the normal, the black tourmaline and obsidian. I was going to see if I have a big chunk of petrified wood that I use. I also really like moss agate. Moss agate, every piece you look at, it looks like it's just a piece of the world. And so it makes sense to me for it to be a grounding stone for me.
Yeah, no, that's nice. That's really good. And y'all were talking about, both of you talking about, ancient Egypt and everything. And then that made me think of another question I was wanting to ask is, do you have certain, I guess, guides or deities that you work with, and are any of them from like ancient Egypt culture or Egyptian culture, or is that, are there other cultures or backgrounds that you pull from in what you do?
So I don't have any specific from ancient Egypt. I think I'm just probably from there, right, in another time or something of that nature. But I can say, so my favorite deity, if I was going to articulate that I would pull energy from or resonate with, is going to be Persephone. Persephone, I don't know if you know the story, but Persephone was a maiden, right? She helped her mom do gardens, grow flowers, all those different things. And then Hades snagged her, kidnapped her, or she said, hey, he's the bad boy. I'm going to go run with him real quick. And she ended up being down with Hades in the underworld. And so half the year, she is the spring goddess that helps things grow. The other half, she is the queen of the underworld. And for me, everything with me is about balance. I have all over my body tattoos, and it's about balance for me. So I think the brightest shining lights can be not so nice if they're not healed and in their right places. And I think that that's what I learn from her. And you can be both, right? You can be the queen of the underworld, but you can also help people grow, and you can teach them that it's all one. It's not light and dark. It's balance.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree that a lot of people, I don't think that most people aren't good or bad. Like you on these TV shows, you try to think there's the villain, there's the hero or whatever. And most of the time, everything is more gray. Like you're saying, everybody makes good choices and bad choices, and that's part of being human and a person. And I apologize to all the viewers. I have been slacking on the comments completely. I was trying to put them up here. We've got Julie Russell.
Hi. I see some of my people popping in and out.
I'll go back and show these again. And you got all kinds of people here saying hi.
Hi, guys.
I'm so glad that they're all here. And I feel really bad I hadn't posted them sooner.
Hey, Julie.
I got so interested in our conversation that I wasn't even putting them up. So sorry, everybody.
Hey, guys.
And then we got Sam on here. That's a good friend of mine. He's with Tennessee Paranormal. He was on a previous show actually.
Oh, fun.
So, but hello everybody, and we're glad everyone's here today.
I just think it's so great that you're so gifted and choose, to bless the world, helping people with it.
Yeah.
I think that the more that I dive into it, the more I know that this is what I'm called to do. I keep doing these different things. I'm like, I'm manifesting whatever the universe is wanting me to do. And one of the girls in here, Rebel, we always say we're going to get a bus and we're going to travel and I want to meet people. I want to host conventions. I want to go speak, and I don't like to speak. I'm like, but I know that that's what's coming because I think the universe wants it. So
yeah, well, you need to come to New Orleans to the theater festival there, and you need to speak or get a booth or do something.
I am. I talked to Howard yesterday.
Oh, wonderful.
And so I will be there. We're gonna make that work, and I'll be there. So
yeah, well, that's because that's gonna be such a good place and a great place for you to network. I really think. Because there's supposed to be a lot of really good people selling things and presenters and everything, so that'd be great.
For a great cause,
What?
1 second.
And for a great cause.
Oh gosh, yeah. When I talked to him about the cause, I was like, I'm there. Like, you have no idea. Like, mental health is something that I'm passionate about. That's why I'm trying to help people heal. And I try to help people heal, but I'm real good about kicking them in their butt too, making them pull up. Like, you can't stay around me very long and like stay down where you're not supposed to be, because I'll be jerking you up. So
that was something I was going to ask you too, is and this is kind of seems random, but it's just I want to ask her, I'll forget. You were talking about where you grew up in church, and then now you're doing this path. Do you ever include like the scriptures or anything in any of your work? Because I know some people do. They like to go to the Psalms or go to different things. Or you don't use the Bible at all now, or is that something that you do?
It's not really intentional that I don't use the Bible. So I am very much a music person, and when I have talked before, I say music is just like the Bible for me. When you need it, and even if you're not Christian, if you need something from the universe and you need guidance and you pick up the Bible, I promise you're going to find something that's going to help you in that moment, right? This is how the universe works. You could also hear the same song 100 times, and then when you're broken and you need some healing, you're going to hear a song differently. And so for me, I use music a lot for everything. That's kind of my Bible for life, if you want to call it that. But I do think any of the scriptures, any of the spiritual books, documents, I think that they're all the same. I think that you can find what you're looking for when you need it, no matter how you choose to call your practice. So.
Right. And I like I said, I don't think there's no wrong or right way. It's whatever works for that person. I just wondered. I was curious where you had that background, because I know some people do that and pull from that.
Yeah, I think the one thing I say that I know is from the Bible is this too shall pass. I tell my kids that. My oldest has it tattooed on his arm. And so I say that all the time. That is something that I always remember. And I always tell my kids, like, the good times pass, bad times pass, the good times come again and they pass, and then it goes around and around and around. So it always passes, no matter what it is.
Right. And I get the thing about music, because I don't think I've even really talked today, but that's one thing about, some people see things, some people hear things or whatever, but I do songs, like a lot of times are how I get messages of things. And like I'll hear certain songs, and I've learned that over time to pay attention to that, because usually there's like a message in there, which is really crazy. It's just like a thing that, like, a lot of my family know I do that. It's really weird, but it's just a thing. And it's like, I get that information from, like, if a song pops up randomly in my mind, I haven't heard it on the radio, I haven't heard it anywhere, I wake up with it on my mind, or it was in my or something. It's something, and it's crazy how that kind of works out. But I was going to ask too. Tonight I know is a big holiday as far as the veil being thinner and things. Or are you going to be doing any kind of manifestation? Like, do you try to center your work around events like that?
So tonight I will do something. I'll do something myself as far as usually when the veil's thin. So around Samhain or Halloween, I'll do something to call in just my ancestors and any other beings that are on the other side that are for me, right? And kind of just invite them in to continue guiding me. I think that that's very important for me to continue to be connected to my ancestors or whoever is on my side, right, on the other side, because they are the ones that are guiding me. The universe is what guides me. And I do some pretty random things that people are like, why do you do that? Well, my answer, I was told to. That's why. It doesn't make sense. I know. So I will do that. If I was going to have ceremonies that I do around certain events, it would be the full moon and the new moon. And typically I will jump on. For me, and I know every practitioner is different, but for me, I do the beginning of manifesting at a new moon. And I do that because it's dark and it's just like putting a seed under the ground at that time for me. And so it's dark, and so you plant the seed of what you want. And then as the moon gets bigger and bigger, it's almost like she's pregnant and giving birth to what you're trying to manifest. And then you get to the full moon, and then you celebrate and you see how far you've come, and you kind of see what you need to let go of. And so we'll often do community burns is what I call it. Tell me what you want help letting go of. We'll put it on bay leaves or paper and we'll burn it and then it out into the universe so it can do with whatever it's going to do.
I think that's great. I think that, that answers that. Because I mean, I know different people, some people I've found don't even pay attention to the when they're doing things as much. And then others say, yeah, I definitely do. And I go on to moon cycles and things I didn't know.
Yeah. I'm a blend, really. I'm such a blend of so many different things. I'm trying to make sure that I'm inclusive of if you're a Christian, if you believe in whatever you believe, I always want everybody to be inclusive because I feel like it all is intertwined. And so I have a hard time being one specific thing. I'm just a mutt, right? A spiritual mutt.
But I think that's good. I think most people nowadays are eclectic and more of mutt, as you're calling it. And what they they don't always say that. Like a lot of times, because even when people, what I found is a lot of people, even when we say I'm this or that, when you get to talk to them, they'll say, "But I do this also," and I do. They pull from different paths and different things. Yeah. So I think there's a it's just if you really think about it, we all are blended ourselves, and it's what you're drawn to is what you work with, so that makes sense that it would be different things, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I can say, so the whole blend of it, and I'm attempting and starting a talk show called Blend Your Spirit for the sole reason, and that's why my group is called Blend Your Spirit, because it is truly about finding what resonates with you and building your own. You're not meant to be like someone else. It feels good when you're like someone else and you're around people who are exactly like you, but you don't grow there. And so if you blend and grab bits and pieces, I'll say, if this is how I do it, if you don't like it, it's okay, right? It's okay. You can find pieces that resonate and take it. Be your own, that's going to be important for healing and just your spirituality.
Yeah. And you've got this Revelation Paranormal, they say community burns have helped them so much. So they're basically saying that, yes, kudos to that, and that really works for them.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you going to let go of, guys? If you don't let go, there's no space to take anything new. So if you hold on to the yuck and the anger and the rage and you don't let go of it, there's no space for anything new and beautiful to come in. It's not available. It's not there. You can't take anything else in. So that's what we talk about.
Well, David, do you have anything? I feel like I'm speaking over you, and I don't mean to. I'll just ask you and let you talk to her for a second.
Do you have all your sites given to Ashley? That way she could post them for everybody to contact you with whatever they may need?
I can. So for booking podcasts and things like that, it's just booking Kitty Lynne at Gmail. But everything else is Craft by Kitty Lynne across all social media. I try to make it pretty easy. I do have a small private group called Blend Your Spirit, and that's just where people can go in. I post all kinds of things in there. Rebel does some paranormal in there. I have Avron who'll do a little paranormal. She's really great with fairies and different information like that. And so it's just a small community that I hope to grow and encourage people to come in, even if they're not about the witchy stuff. It's about spirituality with me. It's not about anything else. It's just
wonderful.
Yeah.
Were you at Fairfest?
Say it again.
Is that going on with you?
What, you're breaking up a little again, David. It's doing what it did the other night. You hear some like background static a little bit a minute ago, I noticed. But what was it you were saying? He was asking something about Fearfest, but I couldn't tell what you said.
They plan on.
It went completely out that time.
Well, too.
Are you asking if they're gonna be there too, the rest of her group?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to get Rebel to come. Anybody that wants to come is absolutely welcome to come. I would love to meet all my people. That's all my peoples. I would love to meet anybody that has crossed my path on TikTok or anywhere, really. That's my dream, is to drive around and to be able to do things and meet everybody and let them know that,
Well, and definitely spread the word. And like, if there are people that you have, maybe even that you buy crafts or buy stones or buy anything off of that would like to sell there, also share the links with them. And for the next, I think it's like 20 something days, the sales going on where the vendor booths are on sale, and also the tickets. If you just want to come and walk around and buy things or go to the, the ghost hunts and things, the tickets themselves are on sale. So the price will go up after, I think it's like 25 more days or something. Now I'm not sure the exact number of days, but yeah. So everybody definitely spread that news.
Yeah.
And after the show, if you can send me, because I'm really bad to just listen to a podcast and get all that information down. But if you want to send me each of your links and your group and things, I will post them in our group.
That'd be wonderful.
As a follow up, and that way people want to add you or follow you, because I'm sure they do. I mean, most people that are watching will be definitely wanting to follow what you're doing. Yeah, because I just think it's great. And I'm trying to think, do you ever work with like you're talking a lot about trauma and the trauma that people have gone through and how you help them through that. Have you ever worked with like support groups? I mean, I was just wondering if you ever worked with like an AA group or NA group or a support group of like grieving victims or anything like that.
I haven't, and it's like I said, everything that I've been doing, really, I walked through my own hell, right, with it, and there wasn't anyone there for me, and then you go through to do a deep dive and looking at the things that you want to heal, and that trauma affects your physical body, and so a lot of times. I would say the group that I teach the most about trauma and how to fix it is I do teach something called Finding Divinity. And some people would call that sex magic. I call it Finding Divinity, or however you want to use that. It's life force energy that everybody has within them, and using that energy to clear out the trauma and clear out the chakras and embrace who we truly are. That's the part of us that we push down, is our primitive instincts and things like that. When every time someone doesn't believe in us, we take it in, and every time we take those things in that are not true, but they're given to us as children, and as we grow, we push them down. And so I try to teach them how to move that energy to be able to heal and relieve some of that trauma. And I have never really worked with trauma groups. I'm very much called, though, to go and speak to people about it now. It's not my comfort zone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would think even if you, I mean, it's just an idea. I'm just throwing that out there. Even if you didn't want to go speak to those groups themselves, maybe giving your information to somebody over the groups that they could say this is a resource if you want to contact them.
Yeah.
Because I'd say I feel like a lot of people that I know that went to like grief counselors or grief support groups or, an NA group or the, families of people that were on addiction and things, they get help that they always could, use more support and help.
Yeah.
And I think this sounds like a good additional thing that they could be doing to work on their own stuff, you know. So I don't know, that's just, I'd say there'd be a lot of business and you know, people that you could reach out and help that way.
No, that's a great idea. I'm very like I said, everything's kind of intuitive that I do whenever I teach, but I feel like that I have a little bit more insight on the spiritual side or the intuitive side on helping people through some of those things. I think that people forget that when people go through trauma, when the whole world goes back to spinning, your world still is forever changed, and no one thinks about that. They think, oh, she's fine, it's been 3 weeks. Like, no, you're forever changed, and you have to learn to embrace and become the new person. And when you're not okay with that, and you don't know where to go, and no one's there to tell you that it's okay to feel the things that you need to feel, and you don't have the support, you don't ever heal through it. And so I think that I have a unique ability to connect with people to do that.
Yeah, I think it sounds like you do too. And it looks like Revelation and Paranormal, they say shadow work would be phenomenal in those settings. And yeah, it definitely would. And that's kind of what, you know, that's what I was thinking. Like if you could somehow let people know that you're available, that this resource is there, and then maybe, you know, it would connect more people to you. But I think that sounds like
we do what we call Work It Wednesday on Wednesdays on TikTok. I say it's Work It Wednesday, not work it, but shadow work. So we do shadow work on Wednesdays, and on Mondays it is manifestation Monday. And so we talk about, you know, the law of attraction, and a lot of my people that are in here, my peeps, they would say I always talk about having big magnet energy. And I think that manifesting and having big magnet energy helps you heal through and through. And we say you can have a tiny magnet and it works just fine. It's still a magnet, right?
Yeah.
Still magnet. Still does the magnet it's supposed to do. But when you have a big one,
right,
it's better, right? But we're talking about magnets, and we say the tiny magnets still pick up, right? And you still manifest and you can still get those things. But when you have a giant magnet, that's when your vibration is raised. You're happy, you're looking for things, you're healing, your magnet gets bigger and bigger, and you pick up more things that you're trying to manifest. That also helps you heal because you're raising your vibration and healing yourself. Still can do it, right? When you're under the covers and hiding and sad and depressed, you still have a magnet, it still works, but half the time it brings in crappy stuff that you don't want. So
true.
So I think that's all tied to shadow work and manifesting. It's all kind of one thing together.
Yeah. I think so. And I think that's great that you have that group and that you are able to do that and everything. Now I was thinking like a lot of this stuff you're talking about, like the law of attraction and stuff, it sounds like a lot of like the hermetic principles and things, and going through the different, just the laws of the universe kind of thinking, and about energy and stuff. And I'm sure that, like, you know, as you all talk and the better people understand that, the more they are able to make things happen for themselves in the way that they want it to. So,
yeah, I think so, because we get stuck in the nothing's working out. Something bad always happens. Why is this always happening to me? Why? Tell me. I do things just like that person. Well, hey, the universe responds for like energy, and it doesn't respond for like what you put out and pretend to be. It responds for like energy of what's on your insides, right? You can't fool the universe. You can fool me, you can't fool the universe. And so you have to dive in, right, to find out why this is happening. There's bad things that happen, you know, that are just there, that happen, that there's no reason for it. But more often than not, it's because the universe is responding to our inside, who we are. So
yeah. So have you ever like in the times that you've been working with somebody that was dealing with this, you're trying to help them with manifestation or whatever, had like a spirit that was connected to that person, like just jump out and give you a message or say, have you ever had to do that and say, hey, I know we're not talking about this, but your sister says, I mean, have you ever had to do that? And how does that usually go over, or what's that been like?
So I forever was, I'm not a medium. I'm not a medium. And guys, I'm not saying that I am on here for all my peoples, but I would say I'm not, but I will be doing reads. I do something called crystal reads, or when I'm doing oracle card reads, and I try to, okay, I'm not going to do mediumship. Like, this is just crystal reads, and my crystal reads are, I have a tray of crystals and I take my hand over and I say, this read is for Rebel. Can her guides, angels, anyone on the other side, guide me to a message? And so I'll pull a crystal, and everybody knows that I end up doing this. They call it reading rainbow, is what they call it, because I zone out. But I will have people or spirits come in, and I don't see them like they're standing in front of me, but I could tell you what they're wearing and what they're saying without it just kind of message. I don't know how to say it. It just kind of messages into my brain and translates into what they look like. And I can very much tell you, I'll do reading rainbow is what they call it. And I'll look to the side and they'll say, oh, she has someone in her room. And so I do have the ability to do it. I try to make sure that if something comes through, an animal or or a spirit or energy comes through for someone specifically, that I give them that message. If I don't, they will follow me around, and I'm not about that.
Right. I've heard that before too. Yeah, until they get what they want, they'll kind of like linger, and So
yeah.
And then Averin here says sure or whatever. So is that somebody in your group that you know?
Yeah. Because I'm always like, no, I'm not a medium. I'm not doing it. And not doing it. And then I'm like, okay, you have carnelian. And I'm trying to talk. And I'm like, hang on, guys. Sorry, hang on. So that's how that works.
Well, I could tell from you talking about having the imaginary friends and what your mom saw and what you've seen and everything. I thought that has to happen to you a lot. It has to. That's why I was wanting to ask, because I was thinking I can't imagine that it would. And I guess that's a good segue into the next question, which I think I know the answer to from what I said, but I wasn't sure. Have you ever gone on like any kind of paranormal investigations? Are you even interested in paranormal investigations, or listening to people talk about going, or is that something that doesn't even pique your interest?
I can tell you that I'd be more open to it now than what I used to be. I think my connection with paranormal would be that I feel like every spirit and energy has a story, right? I'm all about stories, and I feel like they need to be told, right? They need to be told. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about getting people's stories here told, because sometimes people cross over and their stories never told, and there's so much knowledge and beauty and stories of people that were here or are still here. And so I think that's where I would fit in with that, is making sure that someone's story is told. I tend to not dive into heavier energies. I tend to not, because I'm pretty protective over my energy. I try to keep it very confined and high vibration, but I can go sit in the dark if I need to. It's just not my preferred method. If there's a story to be told, I love to be part of it. And there are certain people that I know I have grown to love and trust that I would go with. And then there's certain people that I'm like, no, I'm not going in that house with you for sure.
Right. Well, and I think there are, certain parts that there are safety. You got to protect yourself, like you were saying too, which is another thing. When you do, say you're doing the reading rainbow thing, and you see a spirit, and you have to do all that. Does that drain you, like physically? Like, do you feel a lot of is that hard on you to do that a lot in a day or something, or do you?
I can't say that it drains me. I mean, connecting to a lot of people's energies in one day will be draining, especially if it's emotional.
Right.
I don't think that the spirits coming through drain me, at least for the most part. They don't. If it's very traumatic, it can. But overall, I feel okay with them coming to me. I kind of have my own set of rules that I have in my own mind. And I don't know if it's with the spirit realm, but it's in my own mind. It is. And it's when I'm at work or I'm in places like that, you can come to me later. Like you can come to me at night. You can come to me on a live. You can come to me. I love cemeteries. They're some of my most favorite places to go. That's why I can't wait to go back to New Orleans in a couple of weeks, because I get to go to the cemeteries. Now, for me, those are the most quiet and beautiful places. But if you go with someone who's doing an investigation, it's like, oh, they're not so quiet.
Yeah.
So I like to keep my peacefulness and wondering about stories. And if someone comes to me, then I absolutely will make sure I tell the story for them to help give them some peace. So
yeah. So basically, you like being at those locations, but you don't want to ask questions or knock on doors. You're kind of like, if they come to you, then you're fine with that, and you'll help them.
Yeah.
You're not going to seek anything out. Is that what I'm hearing?
No.
and that might be because if you are very sensitive, though, you're afraid that you'll get a parade of beings coming at you if you were to seek it out in certain locations.
Yeah, I just don't see why. I don't seek out that. If they're coming to me, I know they're coming to me for a reason, and because they know or they can sense that I'll help them. And I like to stick with that. I don't like to try to interfere in places that I'm not asked to be, I guess.
Right. No. Well, and that makes sense. That makes sense. It's just, I was just wondering where you stood on that. As far as like, I was thinking that David mentioned you really weren't into like paranormal investigations, but it was more, along the lines of helping people in the healing, and that was where your focus was and what you enjoyed, and
yeah. And some of it does bleed over into paranormal, and I'm open to it. But like I said, I'm not going in trying to find things. I'm not going in trying to antagonize things. I think it's disrespectful in my opinion. I like peace, right? Peace at all costs. If someone needs to tell a story, by all means, let's get the story and get you where you need to go. But you won't find me knocking on doors trying to open things and get things to come at me. I'm good.
Yeah. And I understand that. And I think that there's an ethical way of doing, the ghost things too. And I don't like, there's a time when there provocation might be needed depending on what was there. But I think for the most part, any kind of antagonizing things, I'm not a fan of. And
I think there's a time and a place for it. I feel like I do better. Rebel, who is in here, she does paranormal, and she's amazing at it. She's amazing. Her and my wife, we go to cemeteries, and she will do some investigation. And I think there's just certain places, certain people that you can be comfortable with, and you're protected, and you're doing what you need to do. And then there's some that kind of try to trigger spirits and things like that. I personally am just not a part of that. I will go in though if I need to take care of business. It's not my thing.
Yeah. I get that. I know what you're saying. I don't like it when people. There's certain shows where you see where they're screaming at things and stuff. I think that's why a lot of people it gives them a bad taste for investigations altogether. But for the most part, most of the teams that I have met don't do that, and they are more respectful and try to not things, But there are people out there that do that. I agree with you.
And I think I would go to some places, but I would work more on the energy of what I felt, or if someone came through, I would be the person in the background, kind of just looking and listening.
Yeah. And then Revelation Paranormal there says that telling their story, what you're talking about, was what intrigued her to start investigating. And I think a lot of people that come at it I think there's a curiosity for most people, what's out there and that kind of thing. But I think a lot of people do it for the reason of wanting to help, wanting to help spirit, wanting to help people still alive, that are dealing with spirits and things, and to find out what those stories are and why they're still here, and so yes, I think that's a huge driving force for most people. Did you all get to go on you didn't get to go on your investigation last night, did you, David?
No.
I know he was. That's where your friend got hacked or whatever. You couldn't get. There was a contact, a communication issue. I forgot.
I like being hard and learning, but
and I understand that. I think we're coming up on an hour, and I can't believe it because I feel like it's gone by pretty quick. But I've talked a whole lot too. But I think you're so interesting. Like I could talk to you for all day and keep asking things, I'm sure.
Well, I would love to come back on anytime. So truly.
Okay. David, can you think of things you want to ask before we go there? And I do definitely don't forget to send us your links though, because I want everybody to be able to get in touch with you and to follow you and things, and we'll put that on our page and share it.
Okay, I appreciate that.
And anything you can think of, David, that we're missing, or
No, you pretty.
I don't know what you're saying. Your mic is just going on you. It has. That's what it was fine at the beginning of the show the other night too. It's like once you're on there for a while, it's giving out. It did that to you the other day too, didn't it? I don't know. You might need to check the speaker on or something. I don't really know what you got. Technical issues. We need one of those banners that we're having technical issues. So, okay. Well, we appreciate you being our guest today. We've really had a great time talking to you.
Oh, I appreciate it.
And we might, be hollering back at you and see if you want to come back sometime. Okay.
Please do. Please do. It was fun. I appreciate you guys.
And again, thank you to everybody that's in the comment feed. And I apologize I didn't get to speak to you back and forth more during the show. I got wrapped up in questions and things, but we were so glad that you all were able to tune in and watch. So thanks everybody. And
Thank you guys.
See you later. Okay.
Bye. Thanks guys.
Bye.